Hi, this is Rabbi Chaim Kaufman. Welcome to our 248th installment of the Torah portion of the week. We are holding by Parshas Terumah. Parshas Terumah talks about the tabernacle, God wanting a place for himself in this world. Talks about the ark, the cover, the table, a lot of things about the tabernacle, the menorah, covers of the tabernacle, the altar, the courtyard, etc. So the Torah tells me over here, chapter 25, verse 38. And the building of the menorah, the Torah says its tongs, its spoons shall be made of pure gold. Right? That's what it should be made of. Right? It should be made out of pure gold. Right? So the Torah, as my Rebbe here says my Rebbe, Arav Agon Moshe Terumah, this should be well. He brings down a Chochmah V'das. It's commentary on Chumash. And he says that the Torah goes into great detail and talk about the bulbs and the extension, whatever, of the menorah. And the essence of it is you got the wicks and the ashes, right? The ashes from it. And what is it all made out of? Gold. It's going to be made out of gold. And the Rambam, at the end of the laws of Me'ilah, explains the following. What is Me'ilah? Me'ilah means I take something, I sanctify it to the temple. I sanctify it to the Beis HaMikdash. And if a person misuses it, uses it for everyday usage, that's called misappropriation of something that's sanctified to the temple, and that's called Me'ilah. So, at the end of the laws of Me'ilah, the Rambam says, come and see how stringent the Torah is by Me'ilah. Right, again, Me'ilah is taking something consecrated to the temple and misusing it. Right, just using it for everyday usage. So he says that which we see by wood, by stones, by dirt, and by ashes, since God's name is now on them. Right? In other words, it's sanctified. It's sanctified to the temple. So if it's sanctified to the temple, it has God's name on it. Right, it's got God's name on it. But if you use it for everyday usage, that's called Me'ilah. That's misappropriating something that was sanctified to the temple and using it for every day. Even if he did it by accident, he forgot, he wasn't paying attention, needs atonement. All the more so, a mitzvah that's given by God, that, as we spoke last week, we don't fully understand many of the mitzvahs to the depth that certainly we need to. We have to remember these mitzvahs are from God. So even if we come up with a reason, doesn't mean it's the reason. But it's very hard to understand. Very hard to understand. But something that's sanctified to God, person, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful how you use it. A person's thoughts, they have to be careful of. Because the Torah tells me, I have to guard the laws, the ordinances, i.e. things that don't make sense to me, and the laws that do make sense, and I have to keep them. So says the Rambam. So says my Rebbe. Let's try and understand what the Rambam's talking about. He says, according to the Rambam, why is it the Torah is stringent by these vessels that should be made from pure gold? Right? Seemingly, why should they be made by pure gold? Or from pure gold? In order to teach you the importance of even dirt. Holy dirt is going to be made into something. And that something, once it's consecrated, can't misuse it. But it came from dirt. I can say, big deal. It's dirt, one of the major elements in the world. True. But if it's sanctified to the temple, it's holy. Can't misuse it. All the more so something holy in and of itself. So now we see. So Rebbe says, all the more so you see by the mitzvahs of God that are holy, every single detail is special, is honorable, according to God. So therefore, each mitzvah we have to keep and do it to the best of our ability. Now, what are some people going to say? Some people would say, come on, it's dirt. Dirt! I can sanctify dirt. God cares. If a person rips toilet paper or not on Shabbos, he cares. He's telling you over here, each detail is special. Each thing is important. Has its own intrinsic holiness. Over here. Why? Because it's for the sake of the mitzvah. You tell me it's rocks? Stones? Well, that's what rocks are. Wood? Dirt? In and of itself, you don't think it's really that important. Put a building together, it's pretty important. Right? But you use it for something holy, unbelievably important. So then my Rebbe says, I explained elsewhere, if a person does a mitzvah to the best of their ability, in a way that they fulfill it according to everybody, right? All rabbinical authorities, everyone agrees. That itself is such an unbelievable thing, a spiritual thing that beautifies the mitzvah. Because not like you're just doing it according to one and other people disagree. You're doing it according to everybody, right? If it's possible. Not only that, he says we're talking about holy dirt over here. That you gotta use it for the golden vessels. So you don't make a distinction between any mitzvahs. They're all commanded by God. We're obligated to keep them. And we have to do it in the best way possible. So a person should have a nice talus. Doesn't mean he has to break the bank. Should have a nice esrog. Doesn't mean he has to break the bank. But you should have nice things. Nice menorah. A nice kiddush cup. Nice tefillin. But there's an interesting thing here. And this is where some people get lost in the detail. God wants this, he wants that. Come on, you really think? See, where are people going to get totally lost here? They're going to say, it's dirt. Regular dirt. And what does the Torah say? The Torah says no such thing. No such thing. You know why? The dirt is holy. Why is it holy? Because God consecrated it. Or let's say better, it was consecrated to God. A person's going to use it now in the temple. So doesn't that mean it's got extra holiness? Doesn't it mean I can't misuse it for everyday usage? It's a holy thing. Holy thing. So we see that even the most basic elements in the world can be sanctified. And a person may think, no, come on, it's just dirt, just stones. Still holiness there. If it's sanctified, and that shows us we have to beautify mitzvahs. to the best of our ability. And we don't distinguish between mitzvahs. Because we don't know what reward we're going to get for each mitzvah. So you got to keep them all to the best of your ability. We don't tread on what we call maybe minor mitzvahs. Why not? We don't know the merits. We don't know the reward for each. So you got to keep it all. What's a major mitzvah, minor mitzvah? They're all equal. Because we're all commanded to us by God. Some we understand more, some we understand less. Maybe some we like more, we like less, whatever. We got to keep it. God tells you this is to your benefit. And if it's to your benefit, you keep it. Whether you understand it more, you understand it less. So, one thing we see, you can sanctify the physical, even something seemingly unimportant, where non-Jews will say, everything in this world is bad, it's all evil, blah, blah, blah. We say we can take the physical and sanctify it in many, many different ways. That's the first thing. Second thing is, when you do a mitzvah, you do it to the best of your ability, and you do it in a way where it goes according to all rabbinic authorities. No questions. No doubts. And we beautify the mitzvah, right, within our means. And we don't go beyond that. Person buys a menorah, buy within your means. You can buy a nice one within your means. Very important to beautify mitzvahs. We don't want to do mitzvahs just, spending a little bit here, a little bit there. Depends how much a person has. Right? A person shouldn't break their budget here. What else do we learn? Don't distinguish between mitzvahs. That each one is a command by God. And we have to remember, whether we understand it more, we understand it less, irrelevant. Our obligation to keep it. Why? Because God said so. But not only that, we beautify it to the best of our ability. That's all we have to do. That's what God expects. No more, no less. So you can say, so I don't think that much about what I'm doing. Not true. We have to constantly think what we're doing. Constantly beautify the mitzvah. Constantly be the best we can be. We're not interested in resting on our laurels. We're not interested in doing things halfway or half-baked. But I also understand I can take the most basic elements and I can make it into something tremendous. Because it can be sanctified to God. So that's a huge thing. That's what God wants. He wants us to tune into His world to be the best we can be. But we have to remember, whether we understand things more, we understand things less, got to beautify the mitzvah. Right? You got to do it to the best of our ability. You know why? Because it's a divine command. It's an absolute divine command. That's what we have to do. We can't overthink things. Doesn't mean I don't have to understand it or try to understand it. I have to. What we mentioned last week, even if it's beyond our understanding, okay, I still have to keep it. But you try to the best of your ability to understand as much as you can. That gives us more oomph, so to speak, when we do the mitzvah. Right? Gives us more understanding at our level. But see, this is just a mind-boggling idea. You're taking something And you're sanctifying it. By sanctifying it, you can't just use it for what you want. Just because I sanctified it, you're right, now it's godly. Now it's got God's name on it. When something has God's name on it, you don't mess around with it. You use it for what it's supposed to be used for. But see, by sanctifying it, there are certain laws that go with it. Person also with their mouth, they could forbid something upon them. They can make a vow, and forbid something upon themselves or whatever. The mouth has the ability to sanctify. Has the ability, God forbid, to speak Lashon Hara. Person can make blessings, sanctify God, Shabbos, Kiddush, many things. That's why we don't say God's name in vain. God gave us the ability to speak, to reason, to make decisions, but also to sanctify Him, to make blessings. That means we shouldn't curse, shouldn't speak Lashon Hara. And we can use this world to our benefit. That's what God wants. But He wants us to use it the right way. And if you make something holy, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful how it's used. You can't just use it for whatever you want. Words can't say, I changed my mind. Too late. See, now, but I want to use this as an ashtray. Can't. It's already been sanctified. So we got to be careful what we think. We got to be careful what we do. But we can't think, any element in this world, it's not worth anything. Different things. Everything has a purpose. But if you use it to a higher purpose, you got to treat it the way it should. Because of the sanctification. And that's not a small thing. And we use it for the right things, we give God pleasure. Because we do the right thing. God forbid we do the wrong thing, just the opposite. But we have to remember as well, every single mitzvah is divine. Whether some apply today or not, they're still divine. And I have to keep it to the best of my ability. Right? That helps us think differently, helps us reach potential, and helps us not make a distinction between mitzvahs. Because each one is precious. Each one precious in God's eyes. And we have to remember where they come from. We have to remember the sacredness and all that go with performing. We're performing all these mitzvahs. They're worth gold. They're worth diamonds. Every mitzvah, can't even imagine the myriad of reward a person will get. That's what we have in this world. That's the most important thing. That's what we have to focus on. The other stuff, distractions. The important things we have to remember. Definitely have to remember. And then a person can take dirt or stones and absolutely make them pure by putting God's name on them. I want to remind everyone I have class Studies on the Heart every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Sunday, Book of Leviticus, chapter 16. 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 4 o'clock Israel Time. Tanakh Talk, Controversial Issues, 12:30 Eastern Time, 7:30 Israel Time on Sunday. Noahide Nations, Noahide class at 2:30 Eastern Time, 9:30 Israel Time. 2 Q&As every Tuesday and Thursday. 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Israel Time. Also, Pirkei Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers every Saturday. 2 o'clock Eastern Time, 9 o'clock Israel Time. And I have conversion classes. Anyone interested in any of them, find me on Facebook, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, or Michael Chaim Kaufman. Send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com.